Good afternoon, folks. We got David Quigley here. David has an incredible story to tell, and some of you may believe it and some of you may not. It really doesn't matter, but he believes that this story happened to him. He's part of the MK Ultra crowd, and he was swapped out at a very early age, and he is the real JFK Jr., and he was swapped out with this other guy who, went on to create the George magazine, etc. It's an amazing story. David, welcome to the show. I heard your story a couple of times. It's mind blowing to really wrap your head around all of it.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show, and I do appreciate it if you call me John.
Sure.
I'm fighting for my name back. David Quigley doesn't exist. My birth certificate, David Quigley, is a forgery from our Secret Service. If I file for my birth certificate to get it back from Santa Barbara, California, where it supposedly was issued, they won't give me one. My real birth certificate is John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr.
I'm glad I addressed you by David. This way we could straighten that out immediately out of the gate.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Tell us the story from the beginning. How did you get swapped out? At what age? I know that you say it was you sitting there by the casket when your father went by with in a salute form, and you were supposedly trained to do that by the Secret Service ad nauseum, etc. There you go.
That's me. If you look at the hair color, you look at the complexion. The man you knew was Greek. He had no Kennedy blood. The John Kennedy Jr. the whole world knew had no Kennedy blood. He was a Greek. He was the son of Aristotle Onassis, the big mafia man from the big billionaire, and the son from Maria Callas, the famous opera singer. There's many pictures of them together. Secret Service flat out told me when I was young he was my stepbrother. I didn't believe him, but it was because it was through secret affair, basically, is why he was my stepbrother. But yeah, I was 10 years old, right around 10 years old, when they replaced me. The Secret Service did it all. It's pre planned first degree crimes by our very own Secret Service. They unalive my loved ones, my family, and it was all to take power over our government. That's the JFK files, right there. It's a secret mafia war. That's the files. They killed my father, my uncle, all my loved ones that people don't know they did. They did. I'm an eyewitness to many of those, and yeah, I don't even like talking about it. I repeat myself so many times, but that's the JFK files. It was a mafia war, and they had us grow our hair long. It was pre-planned. They had him sit next to me in class. They had us both on the island, Aristotle's island, private island, and then we disappeared, both of us, out of the spotlight. We weren't on Life magazine anymore. We weren't on Time. We weren't on all these magazine covers. We were both out of the spotlight. I disappeared. Maybe the mafia thought I was dead, people hiding me out. But a few years later, he pops out, dark hair, brown eye, the new John Kennedy Jr. And they started divvying up all the Kennedy fortunes.
Interesting. And so, what do you remember? Like, how did it happen? Like in the middle of the night, they come swap you out. I mean, was there like programming and torture involved and brainwashing involved? Bring us from the beginning.
Well, yeah, it wasn't overnight, not at all. Um, it's been going on all the way up to a few years ago, but it's planned. It's organized crime that did it. There, it wasn't just like overnight. Like I said, from the start, from the time they unalived my father in 1963, they killed Aristotle's son. I was a personal eyewitness to him in the plane crash. I was 13 then, so that was 10 years later. This was a mafia war going on for years. Um, I was 10, so that would have been 1970. They had us growing our hair long. So that was still 7 years after my father's death that they were like, okay, we're going to replace these two. We're going to grow their hair long. We're going to put our blood in and the Kennedy blood out. So it's blood in, blood out. My sister's a fake Caroline Kennedy to this day is not have any Kennedy blood. My mother was shot 3 times in front of me. Jackie Kennedy, the whole world knew, was not Jackie Kennedy. She was a Hollywood actor. It's commonly done. That's how organized crime makes their billions of dollars. They take someone's identity, and with taking someone's identity, you take all their possessions, all their power, you take it all. And that's what's been going on within the mafia. You ask Fox, ABC, CNBC, all the mainstream media, hey, is there organized crime? They'll say, fuck no, it doesn't exist. But the problem is they are part of it. They're all part of keeping us silent, the truth silent, not getting the truth out to the world. They We're a regime, just like China, just like Russia. If there's a new story Putin don't want you to know, you ain't gonna hear about it because it's a regime now. It's the same communist way the United States is being run, and it is what it is. Can't sugarcoat nothing.
How can you keep such a secret? Wouldn't there be insider leakers, people who come out of the shadows, basically incognito, saying, "Hey, I know a story, and basically, if you can keep my anonymity, I'm willing to tell you a story that's mind blowing." How are they able to keep it such hush hush, such a lid on it?
We're not. We're not. We've got hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of followers now. I made a little short movie that's been out 7 days. We've had 40,000 views. My views on TikTok were in the millions before they took me down. I think it was 33 million views on TikTok before they removed my account. I've had 20 requests just today alone for bumper stickers to go out
Mm.
that say the quiet journey. So we are making noise. I have 2 books out. This just came out not too long ago, a month and a half ago, I believe. The
Mhm.
Historian's Tale, The Amazing Return of President Kennedy's Son. This one came out. This one has been hush hush. This is a huge achievement because they would kill me for not to let anyone know this story. But this has been out over a year now. Stolen Identity, Unveiling the Real John Kennedy Jr. by John Kennedy Jr. And it has a little over 500 reviews on Amazon. And I believe it's 4.3 stars. You get the haters on there, but there's 500 reviews on there that say, hey, this is a real John Kennedy Jr. He needs to get his story out. So it's not, we are busting their glass ceiling, but it is so huge of the criminal activity. They get away with pre-planned first-degree murder. That's just how it is. They get away with it. Our Secret Service, you can't charge a Secret Service man with a crime. And I'm saying, hey, they killed my family. They had me try to confess to my own mother's shooting. They tried to pin my sister's murder, and this was in the 70s, on me. And it's huge what they can get away with. The man that stole my identity, George Onassis, my stepbrother, he was best friends with Bill Clinton, Hillary, Barack Obama, with so many people in power at the very, very top, even Donald Trump. He was best friends with Donald Trump, and we were cousins, not friends. But Donald Trump said if he was alive today, he would have made a wonderful president. That was out of Donald Trump's mouth. Okay, this man stole my identity. He had to murder a mafia murder. They made him a district attorney. They made John Kennedy Jr., the fake that had no Kennedy blood, a district attorney. And then he's guilty of all these crimes, embezzlement of millions and millions of Kennedy dollars with the help of Donald Trump at Trump Tower. This isn't like hidden information. They sold millions and millions of dollars of my loved ones' possessions, and this man was not even me. I'm in fear for my life going, if I come out, they're going to kill me while they're selling millions and millions of dollars of Kennedy possessions. And that's at Trump Tower. I can't sugarcoat it. I really can't. That's just how
Right.
it is.
Well, the guy that they swapped you out with is good looking, Camelot looking guy, flawless. All the women are in love with him. Married to this Bissett girl, right? That's the
Or
guy that
was she?
everybody.
Or was she a girl? Or was she a guy?
I have no
That's how
idea.
big time it really gets in organized crime and in Hollywood.
Right.
It's huge. Can you
But
grab
that's
me that
the
picture, please,
Yeah,
Robin?
that's the guy that everybody thinks is the real guy. That's the guy that everybody thinks he's still alive. That's the guy that supposedly went down in an airplane crash that never happened. But let's get back to that in a second. Let's go here for a second. I know for absolute fact that your father supposedly, allegedly, right, that he wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve. He did that successfully in 1962 because the money was backed by silver certificates, and that was one of the main reasons why they whacked, John Kennedy.
You
Uh,
really believe that, though?
I believe that the Federal Reserve back then was extremely powerful, not as powerful anymore. I think Donald
Okay.
Trump has got them on the run.
Well, this is my father's coin, 50-cent piece. My father's on that 50-cent
Mhm.
piece.
Right,
They killed my father in 1963.
right,
My father's coin was still silver, almost, I think, 90% silver in 1964,
right.
all the way to 1968. They whacked my father in 63. But yet, if my father did all that, why was the silver still being made up until 1968? As soon as my father was killed, the silver kept going down. Pure silver, almost pure silver in 64, a year after he was killed. But then you got 65, it goes down 66, 67, all the way to 68. But then after 68, my father was nowhere around. Our money is not worth anything anymore. After 1968, it was no silver in our coins.
Right. So let's get back to the guy that they swapped you out with. This good looking Hollywood looking guy. Everybody, he was all over the media. Was being groomed to this, amazing magazine empire, etc.
Yeah, that was all done by the cabal. He had no Kennedy blood. He was my stepbrother, George Onassis. See,
Right.
my mother was already a billionaire. They killed my father. They were threatening our lives as children. My mother went to Aristotle Onassis, probably with help of our Secret Service. He was the mafia don, to what I believe. He was a
Mm-hmm.
Greek billionaire. He was in charge of the oil industry. He
Mm-hmm.
was worth billions.
Mm-hmm.
But they also killed him, unalived him in 1975 also. That was our Secret Service that did that. So now who got all that money between the billionaires, between my father, a billionaire, and my mother's new husband that was a billionaire? They unalived them both. So now it all went to my mother. The only thing is, it was not my mother. My mother was killed in 1975. My mother was replaced by a woman that looked similar. They gave her identity theft. They did her teeth. They gave her plastic surgery. They gave her some big fat glasses to put on, but she was not my mother. So all those billions of dollars, the billions went to her. She wasn't real. Went to the man, Mr. Pretty Boy, that stole my identity, and went to my sister, Caroline Kennedy. Hey, the mafia, they just made what, $100 billion for whacking three people? Heck, almost worth it.
Absolutely. So, where does the story go from here? I mean, what's in the works? I know that you just did a documentary. Is there another documentary in the works? The sequel?
Actually, I've had a couple people that want to do movies. One of them sounds like a really good idea. More like a HBO miniseries
Mm-hmm.
of where I'm remembering my life, and it comes, as each episode. That would be awesome. I want to have a church called the John F. Kennedy Jr. Healing Center, where all these victims, there's so many victims of what these people do within Hollywood and our government. And with that said, my better half Robin just brought me this picture.
Mm-hmm.
This is me as a child. There are all the pictures, all of them, up to the age of 10, when I was kidnapped and replaced by Mr. Pretty Boy. They're all of me. The salute is me. Me playing under the desk is me. But then my father was assassinated, and I went to Hollywood. This right here is a real picture of me. You can compare this picture right in the middle of me to all the pictures up to the age of 10. But this says Richard Steele. That's the Hollywood name they gave me. Richard Steele. I'm with Doris Day and Brian Keith in a real famous movie. And let's see here. What else does it say? Let's see. With six, you get an egg roll. But if you compare that picture of Richard Steele to any of the ones playing under the desk, me doing the salute, that is me. That was the Hollywood name. My new name after John Kennedy Jr. was Richard Steele. For I think 9 years, I had a Hollywood career. Then
Mhm.
that career ended when they kidnapped and replaced me, gave me the name David Quigley also. So I had actually three different names: John Kennedy Jr., Richard Steele, and David Quigley. But what they did with their MK Ultra and all their programming from, you know, being under MK Ultra, you can,
Hear that kid.
yeah. This is a famous picture of me. What did I do? I'm touching buttons. And this is everywhere on the internet, this picture. It's real easy for somebody to pull up. And it's real easy for people to pull up the picture of Richard Steele. But in short, one of the best pictures is John Kennedy Jr. in a helicopter. I was shown that day all the gauges and in all the equipment in a helicopter, and it was a photo op, is what it was. So if you or anyone Googled John Kennedy Jr. in a helicopter, that picture is going to come up as me as a child, and we're identical. The only thing is that's a year or two difference right there in that picture.
No, put it on the edges.
Like that, and there it is.
Mm-hmm.
People, that's right off of Google. That is the same child that did the salute. This child here, same hair color, same child.
And that's you.
That's me. That's me. But the name on this photo is Richard Steele, and
Interesting.
they're identical. I'm exposing it so much. It's right out there for people to look at.
Well, John, let's play devil's advocate. Let's just say somebody who's very wealthy, who owns a DNA lab, they're the owner, they're the doctor, they're the scientist, they run the show, came to you right now and said, you know what, let's put this to rest once and for all. Let's prove that you are or you aren't, and is willing to do that. Somebody who actually owns a DNA lab, not a bunch of runaround and a bunch of intermediaries, and then things get hosed up and messed up, etc. I'm talking about somebody who physically owns a DNA lab was to come to you right now and prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Would you be really ready, willing, and able to prove that you are who you say you are?
Now, if it would prove it, but it's right here. They could come pick it up right here. See what that says?
Mm-hmm.
JFK Jr.'s DNA. It's right here. The swabs are in here.
Okay.
I
So
got my hair
is
samples.
anybody out there? Anybody?
I just gave somebody an envelope and my hair sample last week. Here's what people don't get. I've
Right.
taken 6 DNA tests. I have no problem.
Sure.
6. I spent $2,800 of our money to send it to a lab in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I called them up. They said, "Yeah, this is how you swab. Put it in an envelope. Send it to us. Send your father's DNA." We spent hundreds of dollars on my father's DNA.
I don't want it to cost you a dime. I want somebody to come forward who's
Well,
got
they
the
have it. They
wherewithal.
should be.
They
There
have,
should be
yeah,
there should be 20 black fucking cars pull up here with the little flags on the side saying, "You're John Kennedy Jr. We want to help you."
exactly. So then
But
we
they're
can put
not.
it to rest
They're
once and
not.
for all. But it's got to be something where it's not going to cost you any money time or
It
effort,
already has.
somebody has to be willing to step forward that has access to a lab that can go all the way through the finish line and prove conclusively either you are or you aren't. Because there's a lot of people
Hey,
out there that
I would
believe that
I
you
would
are.
love for them. I would love for them to show up. Like I said, the legal thing that has to be done. They have to prove my DNA with my father's DNA, or they have to prove my mother's DNA with my DNA to be legal. It has to be through the parent to the child. It
Right.
can't be through a distant cousin or any other. It has to be. So we purchased DNA from my mother, from my father. We sent it to a lab. But here's the thing, they have my father's DNA. The United States government has my DNA for
Sure.
sure. I was in the
Sure.
White House for three years. They have my DNA. They have my father's DNA all over my mother's dress, but they play their little games. That dress can't be released for another 50 fucking years. Why? Why will not Caroline Kennedy let that DNA be released for 50 years? Because she'll be dead and gone. And then she won't be tied to the criminal organization I'm exposing. It's
Right.
that simple.
How
I
does
like
your
to put things in black and white.
how does your dad tie into Donald Trump and what's going on right now with this reevaluation of wealth, this new XRP, which is going to be the new Bitcoin, et cetera, and the new reevaluation of the paper currencies in the Iraq and Vietnam and Venezuela and I forget. There's another country. There's a few countries. There's also Iran, and there's one more, but I can't think of it off the top.
Vietnam.
Yeah, I already said Vietnam.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, your dad obviously knew of Donald Trump. Donald Trump and your father knew of each other, obviously. The guy that was the imposter was very, very good friends, supposedly, right? If he's an imposter,
Oh yeah.
with Donald Trump, and
We were
supposedly,
cousins.
yeah,
We were cousins. Me
yeah,
and Bobby are cousins.
yeah. So now,
I tried to get a message to Bobby the other day also. And
okay,
Bobby said, do not have anything to do with David Quigley. Nothing. Why? Because I'm exposing their a crime ring.
so
They're making
is
billions of
RFK
dollars.
a bad guy?
Is RFK a bad guy?
Yeah,
I really don't know.
I could tell you
I
the
couldn't say.
chemtrails.
I know he won't acknowledge me.
I
So
could
yeah,
tell you.
I'd have to say he's under the screws of the fucking cabal, of the mafia, of the syndicate, whatever you want to
But
call
if
it.
he was, why would the chemtrails disappear in Florida for the last 3 weeks? There's no chemtrails, zero.
I couldn't explain that.
Why would he want us to breathe clean air?
Why wouldn't he want to acknowledge me?
You
I'm
should.
talking about my story. I'm not talking about the Vietnam War or chemtrails, or I'm concentrated on my story. Why won't
Obviously,
Robert Kennedy Jr. acknowledge me? He's my cousin. Why won't Donald Trump acknowledge me? He's my cousin, because he's not my cousin. He's supposed to be my cousin, but he's not.
okay.
Now, if he goes to church on Sunday and wants to preach the gospel, hey, that's great. But that has nothing to do with my story. Why doesn't he help me instead of being in church and helping me?
Yeah. Where do you think Donald Trump stands in this whole thing? Do you think Donald Trump's a good guy or bad guy, or do you think he's maybe it's at the end he becomes the Antichrist, or is he here to save humanity?
He's a puppet for the regime.
What
That's the way
regime?
I feel. He
What
is a
regime?
puppet. He is being told what to do. He's a
Hmm.
Hollywood actor. If you remember his show, You're Fired, You're Fired. He's a billionaire, but why is this billionaire so worried? I don't know. If I was a billionaire, I'd be on my freaking yacht and I'd have women half naked running around. I'd be eating caviar and drinking champagne. I sure the hell wouldn't be on a campaign trail, city after city, claiming to help America because he doesn't have his own money. His money is controlled by the mafia.
I don't know that I totally agree with you on that. I think Donald Trump
Oh,
is a good
that's
guy.
fine.
I think Donald Trump is a good guy because listen, at the end of the day, like you said, he should have been on a yacht with naked ladies eating caviar and drinking champagne. And the reality is he understands that his kids and his kids' kids and many generations to come don't have a future unless somebody actually fixes this. So there are technologies that are getting ready to be released on the Donald Trump which is going to allow us to travel. It's all over the internet right now. As a matter of fact, I've been spreading that video with Gary Frenchie, the what is it, the news network, the last news network or something like that. Gary Frenchie, look him up. And he's got a video that's a 25-minute video, which is very, very compelling about technology, where we could literally jump in our garage and jump in technology and be anywhere in the world in less than an hour. It's coming. I mean, what's next? They're talking about free energy technology. They're talking about being able to travel at, incredible speeds. We're talking about technology that has no moving parts, that has no belts, no oil, no water pumps, no nothing. Why would Donald Trump allow all of this technology to be released if he was a bad
Well,
guy?
when it happens, let me know,
Oh, it's
because that was a
coming.
movie from 30 years ago, and that kid that was a time traveler got rich.
Yeah.
So yeah, if time travel is possible, I wouldn't be betting on any sporting events
Yeah. It's not
because
only the
that was called Back to the Future.
Yeah. Not only is it possible, I believe it's here. It's really, I'm going to send you a video after we're done with this podcast. I want you to watch it. It's called the Next News Network. That's the name of the channel. And it's a 25-minute video, which has got about 60,000 views. And I will send it to you personally. Get ready for your mind to literally, okay? It's,
But see, I'm more of a reality guy. When something happens, then rub it in my face. But don't say this is going to happen 2 weeks from now and try to put it in my face. Well, Donald Trump's a good guy because of 2 weeks from now, this is going to freaking happen. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Show it to me in 2 weeks. Then I'll be happy. Then I'll agree
Well,
with you. Then
he's
I'll say,
getting
yeah,
rid of
that's
the
wonderful.
IRS. He's getting rid of the IRS. He's getting rid of the Federal Reserve. He's getting rid of property taxes, which is illegal. I mean, he's doing a lot of great stuff. So you can't point to the stuff and say, well, that sucks. I would rather pay property taxes. No, I'd rather
Let
not.
me know. Let me know when it happens. Let me
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Because I don't agree with taxes. I don't agree with giving our money to all these people that are billionaires in the first place.
Hmm.
I don't. I've lived a life of poverty. They have kept me in poverty. They have kept me walking around the streets on food stamps, dying in the freaking hospital. And what they put me through in the special forces and their government tests and every other freaking thing is crazy. But they are the powerfulest crime ring in the world. And they are the best bullshitters in the world. They really are. And that's just how it is. I know it. I'm the president's son. I lived it. I was thrown in a cage. I learned from a young age, hey, you kidnap somebody's children that's at the top. I learned all that. That's how they work at the top. If they want to control a human being that has power, you grab them by the nuts and you squeeze. And that's what they do. If somebody don't pay up in this world, you take what you got to do to get them to pay up. And that's how they work. And I've seen it. I've been thrown in a cage so they could take extortion money. I've had sex acts with freaking animals while they took pictures to take money from people. It's crazy what they'll do at the top. And it's all a bunch of bullshit put out to the American people like it's all roses. It's not. It really isn't.
Well, it's all about to come undone. I believe that to be true, and I don't believe it's going to happen tomorrow or next week or 2 weeks from now. I do believe it's going to happen. I believe that in the next, 3 years, we're going to see a lot of change, and I believe that the leadership that comes after Trump is equally as important as Trump being in power right now. Whether he can figure out a way to finagle the bagel and stay in power for another 4 years, which I would welcome. I don't know if it's constitutional or not, but I believe that there's a few people out there like the guy from the War Room, what's his name, Steve Bannon, saying that there is a way for him to stay in power for another 4 years. But I would like to see an Eric Trump take over. So I know who this family is. I know how their heads are screwed on. They're not here to destroy humanity. That was the Democrats.
Now, why would, just
Yeah,
out of the box, why would you want Eric Trump?
because
Why?
he's got his father's demeanor. He's
You want
incredibly.
some kid ruling over this country?
He's not a kid. He runs a 600,000 people company, multi billion dollar company that is his dad's company, which they own, many golf courses and hotels and all
And they
kinds of
stole
stuff.
most of it.
How do you know that?
Because I told you earlier, they sold my loved one's possessions at Trump Tower.
You have any?
He
You have
has a
any?
nephew that says Donald Trump stole 400 and something $1 million from him. He can't get justice.
Where is the proof of that?
Where's the proof that they
Yeah.
stole money from me?
No, no. Where's the proof that Donald Trump stole $400 million?
Well, it's been all over the internet, but that's from his own relative. That's their deal. I know from
And yeah,
my deal alone, the Kennedy possessions were sold at Trump Tower. The fake man that stole my identity and Donald Trump sold those possessions. Sorry, it's true. It's out there. You can Google it.
listen, there's a lot of stuff on the internet about Mel Carmine that ain't true, but yet it's on the internet. I can go write some article about you right now, and you would have a hard time getting it off the internet unless you have a lot of money or unless you're friends with some people on the inside of Google. You're not going to get it off of Google, but yet it will stick. And I could write the biggest outlandish bullshit story I can concoct about John Kennedy or David Quigley, whoever, whatever I want, and it will stick because this is the internet. This
Hey,
is the nature of the
you
internet.
go right ahead. You go right ahead and do that because I would appreciate it because you're going to look like an asshole when it's all said and done.
Right, but I'm
Really.
just saying I could do that.
Yeah, no.
Right,
You
I
have a
could do
great
that,
day.
and I could
You
be an
have a great
incredible
day.
writer,
And
and I
you
can make
do
it
what you
make it
got to do.
believable.
Do
Right,
what you got to do. Peace.
you know what I mean? That guy is, in my opinion, he just hung up. Wow. I just basically gave him a comparison, a hypothetical, and he took it literally. So I think his screws are not screwed on straight. I personally think the guy is a fraud. I was here to expose him. I think I did a pretty good job. He shakes when he talks. He can't look in the camera. And as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Quigley is a fraud because you know what? If there was a real lab with real capability of DNA, I guarantee you he would literally disappear out of everybody's life. David Quigley, as far as I'm concerned, at this point, is a fraud. Now you can do whatever you want with this information and put it out there. I'm not convinced. I wasn't convinced. I saw the documentary that my friend Sean did, even though Sean did a great job, who's a great film maker. I was never convinced. Listen, best of luck to Mr. Quigley, whoever the hell he thinks he is, but he's definitely not John F. Kennedy Jr., that's for sure. Anyway, guys, get this out there and let's let the people put it in the comments, but I'm not convinced. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.